being a Mozambican musician, we have this huge legacy that nobody knows. There are so many pearls from Mozambique, so many rhythms and dances. I challenged myself because as a musician, I could actually have a jazz band or a soul band, but I wanted to go back to my essence. I knew that if I went to Mozambican music and instruments, that I would have so much to learn. And I want to keep on learning. I wanted to honor my culture.
Really my treat to welcome to the stage Selma Uamusse from Mozambique with her band here from Lisbon. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Canimalo.
Kutlani kutaka ni usiku nitwa karibu zinimietaka ikunyusheni kutaka ni mishu nitwa karibu zinimietaka hakuzile ni mkwanga ni usiku ni ngela hakuzile ni twaritwa misho
This first song is called Hope, in a way of resilience to the time that we're living in. Paul says in his letters that in the end, it'll only last love, hope, and other things. But I think that hope is really important as musicians and as people living in this time. The next song is called Mama, and it's actually a tribute to all the women in Mozambique, specifically in Cabo Delgado. It's a region in Mozambique that has been suffering from a lot of terrorist attacks. And these mamas, they've been resisting to their children becoming terrorists. They've been resisting to their husbands being slaughtered and killed. And it's really an homage to all these women in Cabo Delgado that are so resistant and that they keep on moving. And it's sang in a language from Cabo Delgado, that it's Makua, Mama. Next song is called Hoyo Hoyo. It means welcome. Welcome to this world of peace. Our last song, Funkier Than a Mosquito's Tweeter. I was really inspired throughout the years by Nina Simone, and she did a beautiful version of this song from Aline Bullock, produced by Ike Turner. And I love the song because it talks about thinking a little bit before you act. And I think it's a rather activist and upfront music. Timbila, Nathaniel Melo, Augusto Macedo, Milton Gooley, and Gonçalo Santos. I'm Selma Uamusse. Think twice. Hey, I'm nothing but a dirty, dirty old man. You do
rusty. Wash out your mouth, your lies are getting dusty. Can't believe in nothing you say, but I'm around and I see what you do. You know you're funky and the mosquito sweeter. You ain't nothing but a herd of all the weaver. Same old game, same old thing. Always rapping from the same blowing mind is a thing of the past. You blew your chance, that's why it never lasts. You wanna be a graduated mother, but in reality you're just another brother. Think you're slick, but I couldn't stand the creasing. Things you do ain't never really pleasing. Can't believe in nothing you say, cause I'm around and I see what you do. Same old game, same old thing. Always rapping about the same old. Can't believe in nothing you say, cause I'm around and I see what you do. Same old game, same old thing. Always a rapping for the same old. Thank you very much.
So Selma, to start, just introduce yourself.
Well, that's a hard one. I'm Selma. I lived for, I think, 10 years, a little bit less, with my parents in Portugal, and then they went back to Mozambique. And I kept, and I stayed in Portugal by myself. So my connection to Mozambique is really very tight because my parents stayed to Mozambique. So I'm an immigrant because of my parents. While I was studying for being a civil engineer, I started to study jazz. I went to jazz music school here in Portugal. It's called Hot Club. My music background, it comes from different areas, and of course the African music was also there. I was part of an Afrobeat band, Cacique 97, and I did lots of things until I got to the point that I was like, okay, I want to become a full-time musician, and then, okay, I want to become a solo artist as well. So, but it took really a long time for me to decide to be a solo artist.
You have a great band backing you. And was it hard to find the right musicians that could understand what you wanted to play, the music, the combination?
Well, they're actually family for me, and they all come from a reason. And I worked with them for 15 years. So the first one, Gonçalo, the drummer, he comes from the gospel. He already played with the gospel, so it really plays really very well. The other one, the bass and the pianist, he was my colleague at university. He's a civil engineer. He still works as a civil engineer. And with him, I created my first band, like soul music. And then Nathaniel, the percussionist. Well, I needed someone that was really at ease with African instruments. Henny is part of this group called Terracotta, and they are just very interested on all traditional instruments. And he knows a lot more of African music than I do. He's traveled through Africa on food. He has worked with Venancio, and he has been in several places in Mozambique. He knows a lot of traditional music, so it was easy. And Milton, the guitar player, I was part of his band. I was doing choirs for his band, for his Afrobeat band, and I needed a guitar player that was also Mozambican. I wanted someone that had like this rock and roll sound, but also that new African sonority. So I wanted just people that knew me, and we all identify a lot with several subjects, but also that have this ingredients of not being too European and not too African, because I wanted someone that could play my truth, because I'm Mozambican, but I lived here in Portugal for so many years, and so I wanted people that understood me in a full way. So it took a while, but we've been together for 15 years with jazz, with the jazz projects, with the soul music, and then like, oh, now let's stop this. I want to do a solo project.
Well, you've done a great job putting it together. And I wanted to ask one other question about you. Write a lot of music, but you also did a cover today of an old soul song. You mentioned you heard Nina Simone's version of it.
Yeah, and actually Ellen Bullock, who wrote the song, she was the first one to record it. When I was studying jazz, I had this Selma Uamusse Nu-Jazz Ensemble, and I challenged my ensemble to do an homage to Nina Simone's repertoire. And I identified a lot with her because she came from a Christian background, but she was also a rebel, and she was also an activist, and all those layers that she had were things that I identified a lot. And so we did once, and then it was so successful that we were touring from 2009 until 2013 with this tribute to Nina Simone. And so we were singing like her version of Funkier, but when I recorded my first album, I thought like, I would like to just have one cover, but with my sonority. And so I challenged the guys to do with the timbila and percussions and to make it really very raw and very simple. And that's the reason why.
And with dance moves too.
Yeah, lots of dance, lots of dance moves.
That's really cool.
Selma, talk about using the traditional instruments. Were there challenges with that, and how do you think about the way you're using them?
Well, do you know many Mozambican music?
Yeah, I know quite a bit.
Yeah, but that's because you're very special. Because nobody knows. Nobody knows. People know music from Mali, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from all over Africa, from Morocco, from South Africa. But being a Mozambican musician, I thought that, well, we have this huge legacy that nobody knows, like this polyrhythm music and this sounds and rhythms that nobody knows. How can I, in a way, because I wanted to be an engineer to improve my country. I wanted to go back to Mozambique and to be part of the reconstruction and rebuilding of a new Mozambique, because we had been through a civil war. But then I decided to be a musician, and then I was like, how can I still do something for my country? Well, I'm not going to be an ambassador for Mozambique, but I can actually bring all the things that people don't know. People don't know Timbila, people don't know Mbira, people don't know our languages. Because everybody wants, oh, you're African. Oh, you speak Creole, and like, no, there's no Creole in Mozambique. So there are so many pearls from Mozambique for people to know, the capulanas, the fabrics that are different from other countries. So I challenged myself because as a musician, I could actually have a jazz band or a soul band, but I wanted to go back to my essence. And I knew that if I went to Mozambican music and instruments, that I would have so much to learn, and I want to keep on learning. I don't want to be ecstatic and like, oh, I dominate this. No, I have so many languages to learn. We have more than 40 languages, official languages,
Really?
plus the dialects. We have so many rhythms and dances as well, and so I wanted to honor my culture and to make it a little bit famous, and in a way, because I am in Portugal, and of course I have a total different audience from Mozambican musicians that are in Mozambique. So I had this huge privilege of showing my Mozambican background, being a musician here in the diaspora. So bringing those instruments was not only this will of honoring my background, but it was also something, I don't know if you agree with me, but when you listen to a timbila, doesn't it has like this electronic sound, that it has this vibe, that it's also very recent and actual. So it was also modern, and it was also like this urban, it has this great feeling that it doesn't seem old. You know? So I didn't want to make old people's music. But these instruments, I think that they're really upfront.
So you should let us know about your recordings. Have you? Because not many of them made it out to the States. Have you tell us how many you've made with this band, and what's the most recent recording?
Yeah, so I started my solo project in 2014, but I actually had this big advantage of playing for almost 4 years with no record. Like I had this privilege of being programmed by many programmers. And so my first album was released in 2018, Mati, and then the second album in 2020, Liwoningo. Mati means water, and Liwoningo means light. And so now we're preparing our third original album.
Are you touring around Europe, like getting outside Portugal?
Yeah, we're working with the Spanish agency, but we've been in France, we've been in Poland, we've been in Spain, of course, we've been in the United States, and in Brazil. I also have a Brazilian agency.
Right.
We're going to Mexico next week. And hopefully after this, we'll tour a lot more.
I hope you do a proper U.S. tour.
Yeah. I hope as well.
Talk to me a little bit about the scene in Lisbon. I know there's a lot of African musicians from the various parts of the Lisbon diaspora here. We did a show about that some years ago. But talk about your experience of that. Is it a great place? Are there lots of places to play? Is there support from the community, or is it something that's kind of, what's your experience?
I think more and more it became fashionable to do African music, but I actually do love living in Lisbon. I do think that Lisbon is very inspiring. There's a lot of place for African music, but people are very connected with music from Cape Verde and Angola, because the communities from Angola and Cape Verde are really big. The Mozambican community in Lisbon is small, and the one that exists is very shy. So Mozambican people are very shy. They're not like, ooh. And so it's not as easy for me. I always feel like I am known in Lisbon, but because of other things. As a Mozambican artist, I always feel that I'm a foreigner. Like, oh, it's so exotic. It's not. I don't feel that my music is part of the scene of Lisbon, because the part of the scene of Lisbon is like more music from Cape Verde and from Angola. Okay. And for me, I feel very respected in Portugal and of course in Lisbon, but because of who I am, and not exactly because people feel connected to Mozambican music.
Okay.
I don't know if I could explain myself.
No, that's very interesting. We can talk more about that. But let me just ask you one last question. We're doing a show called New Africa 2022. Can you think of anything that you've experienced this year that felt really new to you?
Well, I was in Mozambique recently in April to start recording a new album, and well, it's not new, but for Mozambique, I think that it's actually something new. A lot of movement of women just singing and being musicians as like producing everything in a female context. So I was in Mozambique in a residence of only female singing, producing, recording, playing, and that's something very new for Mozambique. I think for the world. But if you see, like even yesterday at the beginning of the showcase, like there was one woman. So that's it.
That's very good. Thank you. That's a great start.
Thank you so much.
Okay.